Hey gang, it's Tim and welcome to Focus Friday. So, last night, baseball started, and in my house, that makes things pretty regular. And, basketball is starting up in some places, movie theaters are open, so things are kind of getting back to normal, right? So the big question is, should you expect things to be normal? Should you act normal? Well, yes and no, both. Because normal, as like in BC, before COVID times, most often was about more, faster, and higher revenue. That's essentially the ethos that existed. And PC, post-COVID, there's going to be a huge rush of people who are going to try to go back to the old ethos. But things are going to be different because we're going to be carrying the economic and emotional scars of COVID for a really long time. So back to the original question, should you act normal? No. I want you to be better, because when you are focused on understanding how other people, your clients, their customers, if you're focused on understanding their viewpoint of the world, and even if they are desperately wanting to get back to normal, and you know that normal doesn't exist, or it's not real, or the only normal we have is from a time where that's evaporated, you can't act normal. You've got to be better. You've got to be proactive. You've got to be thoughtful. And you have got to think about consequences. So, for instance, for many agencies and entrepreneurs, the only thing that mattered before COVID was scale, scale, scale. And that may not be possible now. So the consequences of you focusing on an old ethos of scale, scale, scale might be that you fall on your face. So you have to make sure that you adapt to what you can see in front of you, not what you wish you could see in front of you, but what you can actually see in front of you. So you should be normal, except I want you to be normal in this context. First, I want you to start making a plan. For many entrepreneurs, for many agency owners, for many small businesses, they live in a reaction-based world. Stuff happens, I do things, and then there's an outcome. That may or may not work in the future, and guess what? I'm going to tell you it's not going to work, because there's a lot of trepidation on the other side. In the markets, in customers, there's economic uncertainty, and so you cannot rely on the tricks that you know in order to roll with it. And you can sort of rely on them, but you can't completely rely on them. So I want you to start planning more. And then, and this is like a regular constant theme for me, is I want you to understand more. I want you to really start to think about, if you're the leader of a company, if you're a CEO, how are your employees feeling? What are they thinking about? What's on their mind? What are they concerned about? How are your customers feeling? What is their worldview outside of your engagement? Are they feeling optimistic? Are they feeling scared? Are they thinking about cash crunches? Are they thinking about retractions? Are they thinking about stepping in it culturally or socially? You've got to understand all that stuff so that you can have your plan work effectively for them. And finally, at the end of this, what you really need to do is be able to focus on action. Because plans are great, but only when they're in motion. Understanding is great, but only when it is actually expressed. And the only way those two things get into motion are action. So I want you to start turning yourself from a reactionary, nimble leader into a leader that plans, understands, and acts. Because only then can your best work and your best intentions have the greatest impact on your clients and their customers. So it's really simple. Plan, understand, act. PUA. Go get 'em, Tiger. See you next week.